Are you feeling like your costs keep rising, but your reimbursements stay flat? Are you wondering why a new machine that you ordered is suddenly 20% more expensive than it was last year? Or why that simple knee brace order is now stuck in customs limbo? What if I told you that the answer might be thousands of miles away in a trade negotiation room in Washington, Brussels, or Beijing? Well, welcome to Your Practice, Your Money, where clinical success meets financial freedom. I'm your host, Dr. Dimitrios Kostopoulos, and today we are diving into a topic that is rarely talked about in private practice healthcare, but it has a huge impact: trade wars and tariffs, and how they directly hit your bottom line as a private practice owner. So stay with me. All right. Everybody has heard in the media the word tariff right now. We are almost tariff experts. You hear about tariffs here, tariffs there, tariffs there. Every single channel, podcast, radio station talks about tariffs. So, why should private practice owners care about tariffs? Let's break it down. Tariffs are essentially taxes, taxes that imposed on imported goods. So trade wars happen when countries retaliate with more tariffs. It's a game of economic ping pong, and we are the ones stuck in the middle. Country A increases tariffs by 10%, then country B retaliates by increasing their tariffs by 15%. Country A again retaliates by increasing tariffs to 30% and then 35%, and so on and so forth. So, this is what happens with those wars, trade wars. So, you might think now that, okay, I'm a physical therapist, I'm a medical doctor, I run a private practice in healthcare, and I am not an importer, I'm a clinician, I'm a business owner. Well, guess what? Your treatment tables, your medical equipment, your electrical stimulation machines, and your ultrasounds, and your lasers, and your electrodes, and the gowns, and the uh, table paper, and all of the supplies that you have in your physical therapy or medical practice, those are made somewhere else. They are made in China or other countries, or parts of those are made in other countries. Just recently, there was a 10% and then 35% hike on Chinese imports. That really sent shockwaves throughout the entire rehab industry because prices of medical devices started increasing. And not only that, but supplies, medical supplies, and office supplies prices started increasing dramatically. And if you think that it does not affect you, ask yourself, have you delayed equipment lately? Has your vendor increased prices without explanation? Or have patients complained about rising visit costs? All right. So when you go to order something from Amazon or from a local vendor, how do these prices compare today to what they were yesterday? And keep in mind that right now, there are still suppliers that they have inventory of items they have purchased prior to the increasing of tariffs. So they are still able to to maintain previous prices. So, but what will happen in a month from now, in 2 months from now, and because there is currently a moratorium of 90 days on specific countries for increase of tariffs, what will happen in 4 months from now? These are things that we really have to take into account. So, what are the 7 ways that these trade wars are quietly harming your clinic, your private practice? Number one, skyrocketing equipment costs. Most of your gear, right? Gait trainers, exercise machines, electrical stimulators, ultrasound units, lasers, all of these are either made abroad exclusively or they are built in the United States with imported components. So these tariffs then increase your acquisition cost, and the small clinics feel it the hardest. They don't have other areas of income to offset that. So we've seen practices that duct taping high-low tables and stretching tech for years because the cost of replacement went up dramatically. So that's very, very important. Number two, we have supply chain chaos that results in delayed care. So if you place an order now, that because of this whole tariff confusion, your order is stuck somewhere in customs, or a supplier is delaying to purchase the order from the manufacturer in hopes that maybe the tariffs may decrease, that means the equipment, the supplies will reach you at a later time. And of course, that will result in delayed patient care and derail potentially a patient's recovery plan. Imagine that if a knee brace that the patient needs to have right here, right now, it's going to take them 6 weeks to have it. I mean, how that will affect their care. So, as a matter of fact, and this does not pertain only to the rehab industry, but in general, since this trade war started, global trade restrictions have slowed shipments by about 30%. And there are even larger organizations like hospitals that are reporting shortages in critical supplies, and that is not okay. Number three, well, patients' wallets are thinner. What do I mean by that? So imagine that if different goods now, they cost more because of the tariffs and trade wars, while salaries remain the same, that produces inflation. So people will have to pay more for eggs, for bread, for meat, for anything else that they need to buy, for a new car, for a haircut. So when they come to see you and they are presented with a $30 copay, a $40 copay, well, now their wallets are thinner because they are spending so much money in all other things, and they're not going to be able to afford it. So what you might experience is patients where you prescribe, let's say, if you're a physical therapy private practice, you're prescribing a treatment plan, let's say, of 3 times a week. A patient might tell you, listen, I cannot afford to pay my copayment for 3 times a week. I'm going to come only twice a week, or I'm going to come once a week, or show me some exercises at home. So after my third visit, I no longer have to come to see you. As a matter of fact, a 2024 study showed that approximately 40% of Americans skipped medical care due to cost. And at that time, we did not even have trade wars. So all this means, what does all this mean for the physical therapy or medical provider? It means fewer visits, canceled plans of care, and that leads, of course, to lower revenue for your practices. Okay? And just imagine what happens when you have more expenses because goods cost more, and decreased revenue because your patients cannot afford to come as frequently, but you still pay your staff the same salaries, you pay the same rent, you pay the same mortgage or even more because interest rates are higher. So where do you make this difference from? You make this difference from your profit margin, and that is the problem. Item number 4, recession fallout. Tariffs contribute to economic slowdowns, job losses, and disappearing insurance coverage. So if businesses cannot afford to pay higher salaries to all of those employees, they start firing people or not hiring new people. And therefore, because less people have jobs and there is higher unemployment, less people have insurance coverage. I'll give you an example. During COVID-19, 9 million Americans lost coverage. Okay? What did that mean um, at that time for the physical therapy industry? And I'm not implying in any capacity that what we are facing in front of us is an equivalent to a COVID era situation. That's not what I'm talking about. However, there will be some similar effects potentially when less people have jobs and less people are insured. What will happen if physical therapy, for example, becomes more of a luxury? What will happen if patients, when they have an infection, they're not going to go, let's say, to the medical practice, to their medical doctor, because they cannot afford the copayment? What happens then? Item number 5, we're talking about innovation and new technologies, but innovation takes a timeout. New diagnostic and rehab technologies, such as VR rehab or the different wearable sensors, even AI assisted evaluations, those become now more expensive to produce. With tariffs on high tech components, computers, chips, those raise prices 15 to 25%. So many clinics will not be able to afford to adopt these technologies anymore because of their higher costs. Because if the costs are so high from the side of the manufacturer, the local supplier will have to pass this to you. They will have to pass this increase to the local practice. If your EMR system, and again, I don't want to mention specific names of EMR systems, but let's say if for your EMR system you paid, let's say $60 per provider per month, okay, and this EMR system includes some type of AI technology or other technology that requires components or technology or software development from countries where tariffs have doubled or tripled or quadrupled, then you're going to see those companies then, those EMR companies, those EHR companies, increasing their per user amount from $60 to $90 to $100 because eventually they have to pass that cost to you. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to stay in business. So that is something very important to consider. Item number 6, of course, all this has a mental health toll. Because let's not ignore or forget that economic stress leads to anxiety and depression on people, and for chronic pain patients, the stress worsens their symptoms sometimes significantly, and that can affect outcomes of physical therapy and retention. Item number 7, let's talk about domestic manufacturing. Trade pressures are nudging more device manufacturing stateside. That's a good thing, but for the long term, because right now, what it will mean is higher practices and tighter margins while the supply chain adjusts. It will take time for domestic manufacturing to be moved from abroad to the US or to be developed domestically. Various business news outlets, they're talking about at least a 3 to 5 year horizon to be able to bring all manufacturing domestically. So this is the problem. But what can private practice owners do about it? Because believe me, there is something that can be done about it. All right. So let's discuss some possible solutions here. Number one, diversify your supply chain. Start working with a variety of vendors and identify vendors who stock products from multiple countries or from vendors who manufacture domestically and they are able to still maintain their prices low. It's going to take some time for you to start searching, but it may pay off at the end because those orders are recurrent orders. Okay. Number 2, negotiate smarter. Ask your reps about long-term pricing guarantees. Say, look, guaranteeing to you that I'll be buying this product or this medical supply for the next 2 years exclusively from you. Also, collaborate with associates, with colleagues of other private practices. You can form groups or associations to order together higher supplies of products so that you can get better pricing through scaling. Higher orders will result into lower pricing, and you can take advantage of that. Also, look at the possibilities of getting refurbished equipment. Look around for practices that are closing or for practices that they no longer need equipment and buy their used equipment or refurbished equipment from them. Number 3, identify new technologies to bring into your practice, technologies that will increase your revenue so that you are able to buffer any revenue loss from the increased pricing. And one of them, I'm a big proponent of diagnostics, EMG and musculoskeletal ultrasound. And I encourage you to consider integrating diagnostic testing in your practice. And here is why. Those technologies, they create new revenue streams with high reimbursement potential. It will help you differentiate your clinic from competitors. And most importantly, in this particular situation, they buffer your profit margins against rising supply and rising labor costs. Okay, so they provide that buffer. At a time when your costs are going up from every angle, adding diagnostics is a revenue expanding, value building strategy. Let's keep it real. Trade wars are not just headlines on CNBC or in Bloomberg radio. They are hidden forces that are shaping your clinic's financial health. From a $50,000 gate trainer that you can no longer afford to $150 PT visit or a $40 copay that your patient cannot swing anymore. This is more than financial. It gets to be personal. But there is good news. You are not powerless. By staying informed, adapting your service model, and investing in various new solutions, such as diagnostic testing solutions, that can elevate your value, you can not only survive, but you can thrive and expand as business. And this is our episode for today. Thanks for listening to Your Practice, Your Money. If this episode opened your eyes to the macro forces shaping your micro world, please hit subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a colleague who needs to hear this and find out more about this and the other interesting topics we bring in our show. For resources and various implementation strategies and updates on future episodes, please go to yourpracticeyourmoney.com and find out more information there. Actually, on yourpracticeyourmoney.com, you can download a PDF on the PT owner's guide to surviving trade wars. So you can get a PDF handout from me, the PT owner's guide to surviving trade wars. So that's all for today. Dr. Dimitrios Kostopoulos, and see you all next Thursday.